the Legislative Director for Texas Right to Life, and I have two things for you this morning. First, Texas Right to Life would like to invite you to a reception this afternoon in Representative Hughes' office. He's the pro-life whip in the House of Representatives, and he wants to meet you and thank you for your work here on behalf of pro-life causes. And you have a pen, write this down. His office is 4S.5. 4S.5, that's on the 4th floor of the Capitol building. There will be a Texas Right to Life sign outside the door. So after you're talking to your elected officials and you need a break, make your way up there, have some refreshments, and enjoy the company of some other strong pro-lifers with us. 4S.5. The second thing I have for you is to introduce you to your next speaker. He's one of the elected officials that work here that I'm personally honored to work with. I really appreciate three things about him. First, he is a great statesman. He's full of integrity, and he speaks very bravely and very well about what he believes in, what he's working for in this building. Secondly, he is a family man. He is very dedicated to his family, and I used to live in his district up in Fort Worth, and so I got to experience that a little closer than most. He's a great man and very dedicated to his family, and we love his family there. And thirdly, and most importantly, he's a great man of God. He is the first to take the opportunity to speak about his faith, to speak about why he's working here, why he's committed to his family, and about all that he is committed to in that. So we appreciate all that he does here. And he is actually the House author for the Judicial Bypass Reform Bill, which is one of Texas Right to Life's top priorities this session. So please welcome to the stage with me Representative Matt Krause.
You read that better than I wrote it, so thank you. I appreciate that. That was good. You know, I just want to walk you through a scenario, and as John said, I'm the lead author on the Judicial Bypass Bill, and this is the reason why it's so important to me. I've got two daughters myself, but think about your daughter in the high school years. And she's not the same daughter that you've seen the last couple of years. She's a little more withdrawn, she's a little more forlorn. You don't know really what's going on with her, you can't get her to open up, but so there's just something missing there. So one day you go and you drop her off at school and you go about your daily activities. And when she gets home, either probably one of two reactions. Either she feels very relieved or she feels even more separated, even more withdrawn than before. Well, that's because you don't know the whole story. During that time when you dropped her off from school and then picked her up from school, she's been picked up by an attorney who's navigating her through a process to get an abortion. And that attorney takes her, and she takes her not only to the abortion clinic, but then she takes her to a judge. And the judge doesn't know anything about this girl, not allowed to talk to the girl, not allowed to know any personal details, really beyond just a few things. And so there's a process in place now called the Judicial Bypass. And so the judge signs off on this procedure. The girl then goes to the abortion clinic and has the abortion all within the matter of a school day. So from the time you dropped her off to the time you picked her up, a life has been ended. And you don't even know about it. You don't know that she's pregnant. You don't know that anything's going on. You don't know that there's any option or opportunity out there to save the life of the child. Yet there's these people in place, there's these people who see these kind of issues, who are passionate about it, who say, okay, we'll get you out of school, we'll get you to the right places, we'll get you before a judge, we'll get you out of the judge, we'll get the procedure done, and we'll get it all done by 3 o'clock, by 4 o'clock. That's, as a parent, that just is unbelievable to me. It's such literally a life-changing. Bill Zedler said one time that an abortion is the only procedure that, if done correctly, ends in the death of the patient, right? I mean, and I thought that is so poignant, and that's what has happened to this girl, this minor, throughout the course of a school day, and you don't even know. And so what we want to do is, with the Judicial Bypass Bill, is get back to give the parents more choices, to make sure they're informed, to make sure they have some kind of skin in the game, some kind of help in the process. And at the end of the day, the parents and the child might decide on the same thing that happened with the Judicial Bypass, but at least the parents are involved in that decision. And so what we're trying to do is close a lot of the loopholes. The bill was done many years ago. There's been a lot of loopholes with it. For instance, right now, like we said, a judge knows nothing about this child that's coming before them, this minor. So a very smart attorney ad litem could say, hey, let's file it in this court. Oh, that's a Republican district, or that's a conservative judge. We know by who elects him. Let's take it out and then let's go file it in another one. Let's go file it in another one until we find a judge who we think will grant the judicial bypass. And the judges have no way of knowing if Jane Doe A and B and C and D and E are all the same person or not. So we want to make it to where it's obviously confidential, but it's not anonymous. Anonymous, you have no idea it is. Confidential, you have the information, and they can make a more well-informed opinion by the judge. Another thing that we've seen is this attorney, going back to our story, who picks this child up from school, not only serves as their attorney in court, but as their guardian ad litem, which you're appointed when you're in the court with the minor to look out for the best interests of the child. Well, if the person appointed to look out for the best interest of the child is also the one navigating them through this whole process to keep the parents from finding out about it, how much of the best interest is that for the child? So what we'd like to do is get a fresh set of eyes on there, somebody extra to come in and see who can help give voice to the court for this minor that maybe this is or is not the right thing to do for him. So we split it up. The guardian ad litem and attorney ad litem has to be different. And then you'll see, believe it or not, there's forum shopping. So if you live in a very conservative place, you might go a couple hundred miles. Now this wouldn't be in the matter of a school day, but others go a couple hundred miles to find a court that's more amenable to doing this judicial bypass. Well, one thing we want to do is make sure to say, no, you have to do it in the community that you are in, that you're raised in. If it's too small and you don't have the resources, fine. Then you go to the county that's right next to you that may be 50,000 people or so, enough to where there's going to be the resources, there's going to be the manpower to help out with that. And our bill does little things like that over and over again. It just closes these loopholes. It closes these loopholes. And so hopefully it makes it more strengthened. It doesn't get away with the judicial bypass process, but it makes it much more harder for a parent not to know that their daughter is going through this, which again, as a parent of a little girl, I can't imagine something that life-altering happening without my notice at all. So, and so that's the reason we're doing the judicial bypass bill. We'd love for you to help us out with that and get behind it and support it. You know, you hear it, that sounds pretty common sense, right? What we're talking about today, I mean, doesn't it just make common sense? Well, unfortunately, a lot of times common sense doesn't translate into results and action here in the Texas House, as much as I hate to say it. So we even tried this last session and ran into roadblocks, and we're hopefully we get past those roadblocks this time. But what helps is if you're talking to your state legislator, your senator, your House of Representatives, and say, hey, this House bill number, this Senate bill number is really good. I'd really like for you to support it. As it gains more momentum, as you call the people on the committee where it's referred to, that helps out a whole lot. So I would encourage you to do that. I would ask that you do that again. These bills sound good, they sound common sense, but that doesn't always translate into good legislation. So we need your help. And finally, I'm just going to close by, there's a lot of historical people in here. I'm sure you know that today was the day that William Barrett Travis penned his victory or death letter from the Alamo. It was this day in 1836 that he did that. And if you remember, he goes through a litany of reasons why he had to come to their aid, why Texas had, people from America and Texas had to come to them. They had to come to them quickly to give reinforcements. I almost kind of feel like that's where Texas is at right now. It seems like we're kind of at battleground zero for the fight over values and freedom and religious liberty and the family. And so we need the help. We need the help from you. We need the help from your family. We need help from outside to come in. We need the help because now is the time to make our stand. And so just as they did in 1836, and I can't help but think about Travis's letter. It says victory or death. That's really what we're going for here in the judicial bypass bill and all the pro-life bills, right? Either we win or there's going to be deaths. And deaths that parents don't know about and other people don't know about, and it's going to harm our society and harm our culture. So we want to join on the front lines with you. We want you to help us. We want to be as a resource for you. Well, I'm glad we're in this together. Victory or death. God bless you guys. God bless Texas.